So I thought that I had only missed 1 week without making a video, but it turns out that I've actually missed 2 weeks. And I did not really realize that I had missed 2 weeks because I have super bad time blindness. Oops. I also kind of honestly was just I was a little bit overwhelmed with how many views my last video got, because that was the most amount of views I've ever gotten before on a video. It was about 240 views, and honestly, it made me have to think about, people are like seeing my videos and now they're up to the whims of the internet for all to see and for all to scrutinize, and that was a little terrifying for a little bit, but now I'm feeling ready to make videos again, so here I am. And speaking of things like time blindness, I thought I'd talk a little bit more about being neurodivergent just in general. And specifically, as I've titled the video, sometimes when I think something, oftentimes I trip on something too. Which is kind of jokey and fun, but is not entirely inaccurate or wrong. I am a very clumsy person. Whenever I'm walking around, especially if I'm in deep thought, I will walk into something. And oftentimes, I have this weird thing where I feel really empathetic, weirdly so, about inanimate objects, that oftentimes when I bump into a wall, I'll apologize to the wall as if it's a real person, because I am a gentle lamb. I have a hard time hurting even inanimate objects' feelings. A lot of times I'll yell at an inanimate object, because I rarely yell at people, but I do yell at inanimate objects like technology and video games and just furniture. I'll yell at stuff, and then I'll apologize to it and be like, I'm sorry, that was me and I shouldn't have done that, you didn't deserve it. As if it's a real thing with feelings. It's kind of hard for me not to think of inanimate objects as having feelings, sometimes, to be completely honest. I don't know what it is. It's just, when I see something, it has a soul to me. This also might be part of because I just have a really big imagination. Recently, I've been I've been wanting to see if I might actually have hyperphantasia, which is the complete opposite of aphantasia, where with hyperphantasia, basically I have a really overactive imagination where I mean, and I don't know this for sure, so take it with a grain of salt, but a lot of times I feel like I am imagining things, a lot of times without even realizing it. I am always seeing images in my mind's eye, but not just that, I'm always hearing music in my head and having dialogue in my head, and I'm also I can imagine feelings, physical feelings. I can imagine smells, I can imagine tastes. And it's kind of weird sometimes, because a lot of times I'll have to figure out what of my memories are things that I made up and things that actually happened. A lot of times when someone is telling me a story about their day or something, a lot of times I imagine it in a certain way, where I'll see them in a specific setting or place that I've been to or that I've seen, even though that's just based on my experience and not what that person actually is talking about. They could be talking about where they were somewhere completely different, but for some reason every time I hear them tell that story, like, I don't know, like people on the internet tell stories, I guess. Like I always pictured them in the same scenario in my brain every time I hear it, and I don't know why, but sometimes I have to remind myself, oh, like that's probably not how it happened. And a lot of times I also find that like my memory of certain things will be way different than it actually happened. Like for example, like I'll look at a picture that was taken like several years ago, like, and I'll look at it the first time, you know, when it was taken, and then like years later I'll look back at it and it'll be like way different than I thought it was. I'm like, wait, this picture doesn't look nearly as close to what I thought it looked like, because I just hadn't looked at it in a long time and my memory just got warped. A lot of times, like, I feel like I'll have memories of things that happened where like someone said something that they didn't actually say, or like I'll like sometimes when I remember certain scenarios like fresh after they happened, I'll keep imagining someone having said something even though they didn't say it. And sometimes it just happens enough times where it becomes just part of the memory, where I think they said something that they didn't say, and I don't know why I do this, but it's sometimes hard. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of it because it just feels like it just kind of happens more to me than I actually actively like try to make it that way. A lot of times I have to second guess myself because I'll think that I did something, or I'll think that I'm supposed to be somewhere at a certain time, and then I'll look back at my schedule and it actually was completely different. This happened to me the other day when I went to work, and I thought I was supposed to be there at 5:30, so I arrived there and I was going to be early. I was going to be 10 minutes early. So I was going to clock in at 5:20, but it actually turned out that I was supposed to be there at 5, so I ended up being 15 minutes late, and I was really frustrated with myself because I was like, I could have sworn, like, I could have put my hand on a stack of Bibles and told you that it was at 5:30, but then I looked at it again just to check after it was already past 5, and I saw that I was supposed to be there at 5. And I just was like, what the heck? Why is my brain like this? And just like I was talking about earlier in the video, just my time blindness is so all over the place. Like, there'll be things that will have happened, and like a week later, I'm like, oh man, that happened like months ago. And then I find out it happened like last week, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, that had to be like forever ago, but it was only 7 days ago, and it's like, how you know, how did that happen? Like, how did that go from being a week ago to being like feeling like it was months ago in my head? And a lot of times I have to like take a lot of precautions to be on time to things. Like, I always leave usually around 30 minutes before I'm supposed to leave to be somewhere on time. Sometimes I'm early to being early just to make sure that I don't like miss something, or that I don't not be on time. Just a side note, I recently wondered aloud, do you think that not when you say like something is not something, do you think it could be shortened to notn't, like not N apostrophe T? Speaking of which, I usually go off on really random tangents. It's funny because sometimes I'll be talking to other neurodivergent people, and both of us will just be talking, like we'll be talking to each other, but we'll be like both having our own conversations at each other at the same time, and not even realizing that we're both talking about completely different things. Like, I've had that happen to me before with people, where I'll be just like talking about something and they'll also be talking about something else, and it's as if we're having a conversation, because we're having a conversation, but we're just having two separate conversations with each other at the same time. Sometimes I will be like I do this thing, and it's a little autistic. I think I'm kind of autistic. My parents don't think I'm autistic, but I think I'm autistic. But sometimes I do this thing where I stim a lot, where I'll get like really hooked on a phrase or like a funny bit like that I heard on like watching Game Grumps or something, and I just can't help but say it over and over and over again, like out loud, and sometimes I repeat phrases or things a lot, like very often, maybe not like consecutively, but just often I'll say something, and then I'll say it again without like realizing that I've said it 1,000 times, and people will be like, yeah, I know, you've said that, like, every day you say that. I'm like, I do. And it's just kind of funny because, I don't know, I just have a way of just repeating things without always like thinking about it. I just hook on to certain phrases or certain topics that I just talk about all the time. It's funny because sometimes I like to think that I'm like a stoic, quiet, brooding type, when I'm actually like the complete opposite. I will talk and talk and talk about something like Sonic the Hedgehog, to the unfortunate souls who are willing to sit there and listen to me talk and talk and talk and yap. And I feel bad sometimes, and I actually get really self-conscious about it, because I just hope that people don't feel like don't get annoyed by me talking at them. It's part of why I started just making YouTube videos, because I guess I just, it's just a good way to channel that a little bit into people, I'm not just like talking at people, but yeah, and I don't know, and I do get self-conscious about, like, I think that I'm annoying, and I think that I talk too much, and I feel like I'm like, sometimes I get hung up on, like, I feel like I'm a burden and stuff, but other times see, I have days where I'm just very like, screw you if you don't like me, like, I'm not gonna just stop being me. And then I have other days where I'm just like in one of my moods where I'm just like, like, play the Radiohead and Draw the Shades Closed. Life is terrible, and I'm a misfortunate soul. But most of the time, like okay, I have like 3 moods, like, I have times where I'm like really like energetic and kind of like bouncing off the wall. I have other times where I'm very like calm and just mellow, and then I have times where I'm in one of my moods. And when I get into one of my moods, it's like, just leave me be for about like an hour or 2. I'll be fine. Like, I'll be back to normal. Actually, probably don't leave me be. I actually need it. I actually need people to like ask me how I'm doing sometimes. Actually, most of the time when I'm in one of my moods, a lot of times when I'm in one of my moods, I'll just be like, I'll just be walking around like, I don't know, just doing whatever I'm doing, and like I'll just be thinking like, please, just someone talk to me, like someone ask me how I'm doing, and someone listen to me, because I feel like I do a lot of listening to people where like honestly, like I've had strangers, like when I'm at the train station, I've had strangers just walk up to me and just like start talking to me about their problems and stuff, and like and of course I listen and I smile and I said, yeah, that sucks, man. But I just find it so interesting that that happens to me quite often. But oftentimes I feel like I don't really get that reciprocated, you know? I sometimes feel like I don't always get a lot of people who will just listen and just support me. I mean, not that I don't have support, I have lots of support, especially from my family members, but like I just don't have like a lot of friends. Just in general, I don't really have a whole lot of people that I would say are my super best friends that I would like that I hang out with every single day. See, like there's so many people that like that I know in my like area who just have best friends that they've been friends with like their entire lives. Like since they were in kindergarten, they've just been best friends ever since. And like I have one friend who I've known my entire life. And even then, like I don't see him super often. And I mean, if you're listening, man, this isn't me dissing you. I love you, bro. He subscribed to my YouTube channel. I love you, man. I just don't have a lot of opportunities to see you. But you know, just like, but you know, also just being neurodivergent, like people can tell when you're neurodivergent, you know, people can just see it. Like people can just like neurotypical people especially, they just know when someone is neurodivergent, and sometimes that just like is just a turn off for neurotypical people, and there's just nothing you can do to make them like you. And that was kind of a hard lesson to learn growing up, because like, you know, I'd see all these neurotypical people, or just people in general, who have lots of friends and lots of deep connections, and I mean ever since like middle school, I just had a hard time being able to make those connections with people, and I still have a hard time doing that sometimes. And I don't know, and it's like, it's just, I don't know, it's just hard, you know, to talk to people sometimes and make friends, especially when like, because I live in an area where like I don't feel like I have a lot in common with a lot of people, and so I don't know, it's just I don't know, it's sometimes just a struggle to make friends for me, especially in my area. This is part of why I'm really wanting to study abroad in Japan, and eventually I'm wanting to, like, if I like being in Japan, because I feel like I will like it, because I really love Japan, if you can't tell by my thumbnails. I want to eventually like move there. And I know that, like, socially it probably wouldn't be much better, like, because there'd be a language barrier, and, you know, like, you know, this is, the culture is different, but, I don't know, I just feel like I just want to be out of the place that I'm in. I just don't want to be here. And if not Japan, I'm also thinking about, like, moving to the UK. Honestly, I just don't want to be in America right now, but that's a topic for a different video. It's funny because recently I had someone say to me, well, you know, if people don't want to talk to you, you know, maybe you just gotta look inside yourself and just ask yourself, what's wrong with me? And I was like, thanks, man. Thanks, that means a lot. I appreciate it. It just was funny, like, it's just a funny kind of tone-deaf thing to say to someone. I've been rambling for a while now, and I don't really feel like I know what I was talking about the whole time. I just kind of was talking, but if any of this resonated with anyone, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you liked my video, if you appreciated it, I really would appreciate it if you would subscribe and like the video and leave a comment. I know that that's like a really stereotypical thing that YouTubers say all the time, but it actually is really important to support, like that helps a lot to support me, and it will help me further my goal, you know, in just my career and stuff, because I do want to do creative things for a living. I believe it or not, I don't want to work at a pizza place for the rest of my life. I have characters and stories and stuff that I want to tell. And so I really do appreciate it, because just leaving a comment or leaving a like really does help support me. So I hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy it, please do all those things. And stay cool and attractive, and I'll see y'all whenever I see ya, I guess. I'm really bad at editing these videos, can you tell?